You have found yourself on podcast number 41 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and today we are going to be getting a major question out of the way, and that is, are quote-unquote super teams successful majority of the time? And we're going to give some examples of why sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So if you want to hear more about that, make sure to stay tuned. Once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. This is episode number 41, and if you haven't already, make sure to go down below and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment below, in your opinion, the best quote-unquote super team that's ever played in the NBA. I'm very curious to hear your guys' opinions. But anyways, let's get into what I think, two teams that I think have had either success or not so much success when they're building a, like I said, quote-unquote super team. Anyways, let's get into it. So in my opinion, a super team is when multiple stars are acquired via trade or free agency to enhance their championship hopes significantly. Now, some teams that maybe acquired these stars already had stars, or vice versa. Maybe they just or not vice versa, but anyways, like maybe they just completely started trading for a bunch of players. They maybe traded away some of their young assets to bring in championship contenders and superstars, or just stars in general. So I have two examples. One was very successful in their super team building, and one was very unsuccessful in their super team building. And I'm going to give my reasoning behind that and just kind of their records overall, and just let's just have fun doing this. And this is an idea from some people that are watching this video, so thank you so much for giving me this recommendation. If you have any other recommendations for future podcasts and topics, let me know. I would love to be able to touch on those topics and give my idea or my opinion on what you guys think as well. So first up, I'm going to give the unsuccessful teams, or the unsuccessful team that tried to build a super team, but it just really didn't work out, and that is the 2020 and 2021 Brooklyn Nets. If you guys don't know this team, some of the notable players on that team were Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Bruce Brown, Blake Griffin, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Nick Claxton. Now, only about 3 of those players were legit like stars or quote-unquote superstars. I would definitely say Kevin Durant was and still is a superstar. And then Kyrie Irving and James Harden is debatable. I believe this is when James Harden got traded from Houston, so this was a big deal back then. But yeah, like this Brooklyn Nets team was very talented roster-wise. I even named a couple of key role players like Bruce Brown, Blake Griffin, back when he was, somewhat decent. Spencer Dinwiddie was also very decent, and Nick Claxton has always been a very solid player. This Brooklyn Nets team was very unsuccessful in their team building. Okay, overall, for the big 3 in Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, they only played 16 total games that season, and they went with a record of 13-3. So like when they were on the floor, they played very well, but they just could not be on the floor together because of injuries. And that is one of the biggest issues with this quote-unquote super team building. Was it felt like the Nets really didn't have players that could stay healthy and stay on the floor consistently, which is why they were honestly unsuccessful, because when they were playing, they were dominant. That was a very fun team to watch. I mean, you could do very good rotations with just like whether 2 stars on at a time, or you could have 1 star even, and it would still show dominance against their opponents. But like I said earlier, they cannot stay healthy, and that was one of the biggest issues for the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, though, as a record overall in that season, finished 48-24, which was second in the Eastern Conference. I believe the only team above them was the Philadelphia 76ers. And they lost in the conference semifinals to the future NBA champions of that season, the Milwaukee Bucks, in 7 games. Now, if you guys don't remember, or if you guys never watched that series, that was kind of one of the craziest endings to that game, as Kevin Durant took the shot, he made it, and we all thought it was a three, but then they went into instant replay and his toe was on the line. If he was like a half an inch shorter, if his foot was a half an inch shorter, that Brooklyn Nets team would have been moving on. But that was a really fun series. I mean, we saw PJ Tucker going against Kevin Durant. I mean, PJ Tucker was holding his ground against Kevin Durant very well. It was just a fun series overall. That Brooklyn Nets team is like one of the biggest what-if teams. But honestly, we can't just say what if, because it never happened. So we have to put the Brooklyn Nets under a unsuccessful attempt at making a super team, because they won 0 championships and 0 conference championships. In my opinion, if you're going to build a super team, you got to be able to win at least a conference championship and potentially a championship. Another reason why this team also was very unsuccessful in their building towards a super team was that team broke up after a season. Those big three only played together for 1 season, and then James Harden was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, as we saw Ben Simmons get traded to Brooklyn, as he's still playing there right now. But it was just like a really unsuccessful team. I mean, that's kind of what happens, though, too, when you trade for a bunch of players that can be injury prone. So, in my opinion, the Brooklyn Nets were a very unsuccessful super team. They are a big what-if team, but hey, guess what? It never happened, so that was unsuccessful for the Brooklyn Nets. But now that we kind of got through the negative team in the Brooklyn Nets, the team that just really did not succeed in their attempt at a super team, let's talk about a team that did succeed very well with making this super team. And a lot of you are going to be very familiar with this team, and that is the Golden State Warriors through the seasons of the 2016 and 17 season through, I believe, the 2018 and 19 season. And that is, well, in the 2016 offseason, we first saw Kevin Durant sign with the Golden State Warriors after losing to them in the conference finals, I believe, when he was on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is where Kevin Durant kind of got his big nickname of Snake. So, this is when the Warriors dynasty kind of really kicked off. I mean, we saw the Warriors lose, I believe the year before Kevin Durant signed, they actually blew the 3-1 lead, but they did win the championship before. So they were on the rise. But once Kevin Durant came to the team, it was just like they started to go up and up and up from there. Some notable players on that team were Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, and Sean Livingston. Shout out Sean Livingston, the mid-range king. It felt like every time you watched him play, he shot a mid-range, and it just felt like he never missed that shot. But anyways, this Warriors team is a little bit... this quote-unquote super team was kind of built a little differently. Obviously, Kevin Durant signed with the team. Iguodala and Sean Livingston also signed with the Golden State Warriors. But Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green were all draft picks from the Golden State Warriors. So you can definitely tell that the Warriors had a different approach. They built through the draft, and they stuck with their players. And those players built a great chemistry throughout time. And just adding Kevin Durant really helped, boost their championship hopes for the years to come. Now, according to all 3 seasons that Kevin Durant played on the Warriors, he played in the 2016 and 17 season, which as a team overall, they went 67-15, which is an insane record. They were first in the Western Conference, and then they won the championship versus the Cavs in 5 games, so 4-1. This was a very successful season, so they already had more success than the Brooklyn Nets in 1 season by winning the championship the year Kevin Durant signs with the Warriors. The next season, in 2017-2018 season, they went 58-24. They were second in the West. I believe the Houston Rockets were the only team above them, and that was the team when the Rockets had, I believe, Chris Paul, James Harden, and Clint Capella. That team was just absurd. They were insane. That was just a great Houston Rockets team. The Warriors ended up still going to the NBA Finals partially because Chris Paul got hurt in the conference finals against the Warriors, which honestly led the Warriors to winning that series and the finals with a sweep against the Cavaliers again, 4-0. So the Warriors, in 2 years of Kevin Durant signing and the super team commencing, they were 2-0 for the championship runs. And then the final year Kevin Durant was on the Golden State Warriors and the super team was a thing. The Golden State Warriors in the 2018-2019 season went 57-25. They finished first in the Western Conference, so dominant performances all 3 seasons when it comes to the regular season. But they lost to the Raptors in the NBA Finals 4-2. Now, if you don't remember this NBA Finals, this was the finals when this was the year Kawhi Leonard got traded to Toronto. Kyle Lowry was balling out. They still had Serge Ibaka. Pascal Siakam was really emerging as a star. Fred VanVleet was on the team. But Golden State was very injured that year. That was the finals where Klay Thompson tore his ACL, and that led him to being out for at least a season. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but that was the year when Klay Thompson was out because of that ACL injury. So he was out for the rest of the series. And then Kevin Durant also tore his Achilles that season in that series. And when he did play in that series, the Warriors won. So there's a lot of what ifs with that season, but overall, this Warriors team was extremely successful as they won 2 championships in 3 years of their quote-unquote super team years. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Warriors did have that successful super team build, and do you think the Nets had the unsuccessful super team build? Also, let me know down below other teams. Give me some explanations, like maybe the Boston Celtics a couple years ago, or, the Los Angeles Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. Like, do you consider that a super team? What is your opinion on what you think a super team is? But anyways, I just wanted to give 2 examples of maybe a successful team and an unsuccessful team in building a super team. So anyways, that is going to be the end of podcast number 41 of Sports Talk with JWock. I do have some news that I want to give to you guys. I am starting school again. This week I actually started school again, so my schedule is going to be a lot busier, which means I'm going to need more time during the regular week, so Monday through Friday, to be able to do schoolwork. As you guys know, on Friday at 8 a.m. East or 8 a.m. Mountain Time, I like to upload my videos. I am pushing that back to where now I'm going to be uploading on Saturdays at 8 a.m. Mountain Time instead of Fridays at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. So it's just going back one day. So don't worry. If you check in on Fridays now and there's no upload, don't worry. It's not like there's not going to be an upload this week. It's just going to be uploaded the next day, because I want to be able to get some schoolwork done. Now, obviously, this video is going to be out on Friday because I didn't announce it right away, but in the following weeks and for the foreseeable future, I will be uploading on Saturdays now at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. I'm also going to be going back to Spotify, so don't worry. If you're going to be watching on YouTube, you're still going to be able to watch these videos. It's still going to be just the same. But now you have the option again to be able to listen on Spotify. Just in case, if you're on the run and you want to be able to listen to my podcast, you can do that instead of just having to sit down and watch my videos. I'm just kind of doing a test, seeing if I could get some more viewership and see if people want to be able to listen on Spotify, especially since viewership has been down a little bit, but it's totally okay, and I'm excited to see what I can do in the future with Spotify and just my uploads come Saturday. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another podcast of Sports Talk with JWock. If you haven't already, check me out on Instagram at sportstalkwith_JWock3. Check me out on Facebook at Jonah Walkenfoos. And then I will give the information on Spotify on what to look up in next week's episode. So don't worry about that. And speaking of next week's episode, make sure to stay tuned, because I'm going to be giving my picks and predictions for the Super Bowl, and I believe it's Super Bowl 58. I think I said it wrong in my past podcast when I was talking about like Super Bowl predictions. I said that wrong, so I apologize about that. But I'm going to be giving my picks and predictions for this year's Super Bowl. I already gave my picks. They're already horrible according to the bracket, but we're going to be giving like the Super Bowl matchup predictions. So make sure to stay tuned for that episode. And I can't wait to see you all next week. But in the meantime, have an amazing week this week, and I will see you all next week. God bless.